So I just got back from RuneFest and I was able to try out the much anticipated sailing. For those of you who don't know, sailing is the next newest first skill that will ever be coming to old school RuneScape. And at RuneFest, they had a couple hundred computers set up for those that were there. Well, for us to go and try out the alpha. I wasn't expecting this. This was a surprise. The second I walked into RuneFest, this was the first thing I saw and I knew I needed to try it out. I guess like a little backstory. I voted for sailing. It was pretty much a decision between shamanism and sailing. If you would have asked me a month ago, I would have told you that I would have switched my vote from sailing to shamanism just because of all the updates that Jagex has shown us. So you could say like I was a little bit of a hater. If I had to rank my expectations going into trying sailing, I would say it was like a 2 out of 10. My biggest concerns with sailing leading up to testing them or testing sailing, I had two really big concerns. My first one was the movement of the boat. I lost most of my hope for the future when Jagex put out this blog back on August 22nd, 2024, showing the different movement types. My first concern was that they showed 7 different movement types, which meant that they had no idea how the boat should move. And that was quite concerning. We can take a look at them right here. I think this is a good example. Oh yeah, here we go. You can see the boat just trying to maneuver around, and I don't know, watching this, I started to fear for the worst. This is when I became a true hater. And the fact that this was one of 7 different proposals they had, I mean, like, it scared me. I feel like at this point, shouldn't they have, like, they should know how the boat is going to move, you know? I feel kind of important. So anyways, this really like upped my skepticism. I was really concerned. And so I was very excited that we got to go try it. And then I could, you know, really, I don't know, nitpick it, and I really thought I was gonna hate it. And we'll get into the things that I liked and I disliked in a minute. But this is what they gave us, right? What happened is you sat down at a computer, a JMod came over, and like I'm talking like these are the JMods. You had I mean, Mod Husky was literally over everyone's shoulder, just like watching them play. You had Mod Light, the community manager, was also there, just constantly asking us what we thought and whatnot. So, you know, some big name JMods were involved with this, which shows that like I think a lot of the really good quality resources at Jagex have been going to sailing, which I would say makes me happy, actually. I think a lot of people don't like that all the really good JMods have been spending their time on this, and a lot of people think sailing is going to fail. I don't know. At least that's the vibe I get. I'm terminally online when it comes to RuneScape. So from my point of view, it seems like a lot of people are viewing sailing negatively. But anyways, you sit down, they log you in, and there was 5 different options of what you could try out. And I'm showing you this right now because I imagine these are the same 5 options that they're going to give us at the end of March for anyone to go try. They said that the alpha is going to be available to everybody, and I'm just imagining it's a copy and paste of what like we were able to use at RuneFest. So the first one is the introduction right here. I wish we could have had footage of this, but I only have pictures. I mean, I could have filmed it, but it did not look that good on my phone as I was holding my phone. I also didn't know this was going to happen. If I knew sailing was going to be there, I would have, you know, I don't know, prepared a little bit better, but this is what we got. So the introduction, that is just when you click on that took you to like the starting quest that's going to get you going in sailing. We didn't have quest helper, obviously. So I don't know, it took like 10-15 minutes. It was nothing, but that's kind of a big deal because they only gave us an hour to play. I could have gotten back in line and like played again, but I wanted to go check out all the other things at RuneFest. So I was just going to take this 1 hour to take it all in. And in the introduction, right, it's your first sailing. It's the first sailing quest. And essentially through lines of dialogue and talking to a couple different NPCs, they send you on a fetch quest. They put you on your ship. They tell you, I think you have to build your ship if I remember correctly. Somehow you get your first little raft. It's not a ship, it's a raft. I think I have a picture of that we'll show in a second. You get on your raft, you go to a certain spot, you find whatever, I think it was like some treasure that was stolen, and then you bring it back, and then boom, the quest is essentially done. You learn how to move the boat, and yeah, you learn there's like a UI that you learn how to use, which I was looking through my pictures and I don't really have a picture. Yeah, I did not take a picture of the UI, but it was very simple. If I remember correctly, there was 3 buttons in the UI. There was a button to turn the sails on and off, essentially like untrim and trim the sails, and then speed up or slow down. That was it. There was 3 buttons. So you have that kind of in the spot of your inventory, right? It would be one of those tabs. And then you're clicking around the ocean to move your boat around. And boom, you go on your first fetch quest, you come back. I didn't hate it. I think, and that's where like a lot of this video is going to go, is I had really low expectations and it was not bad. It was not like really good. And I think that there's still going to be a lot of hate. But when I was trying it out, man, I was like, my biggest concern was the movement, and the movement was good. I really thought that like it was intuitive. It was not bad. You would kind of click just like if you were moving your character, but now you're just moving a big boat. And if you kind of got stuck up against an island, it would do like a little U-turn and you would correct yourself, and it flowed pretty nice. And I think this was so relieving because, like I said, I was excited for sailing, but this update blog made me really not excited. Like watching these different ways that this boat had to maneuver around. I'm watching this back and it actually looks pretty similar to how it was when I was doing the alpha. Oh, except that. Anyways, it looks pretty similar to this. This one actually seems to do a little bit more smart pathing. I don't know. I don't remember it being able to maneuver this well, but it flows pretty well. And as I watched this back in the day, this looked really bad, but now that I've played it, this does not look nearly as bad. Oh yes, and you can see the buttons. The buttons down there have changed a little bit. They don't look as colorful. They're actual like they're UI buttons. Those look more like prayers that they're getting clicked on. Anyways, so you do the introduction quest. Boom, the introduction quest is called Pandemonium. You know, nice leak on that. Anyways, I spent most of my time, I jumped straight to the Barracuda trials. I did this because the Barracuda trials are supposed to be like the high-end fun, fast-paced content. If we take a look at the other things that we had access to, right? We had the introduction, which was the quest. We had charting the sea, which says seek out points of interest, which I just imagined was, hey, go to this spot, find it. I didn't do it. I kind of wish I did. I got kind of lost in the Barracuda trials. So yeah, you can go look at points of interest. You can go complete a port task, or you can go shipwreck salvaging, gather sunken loot. Most of those, I believe, are going to be very similar to like a World of Warcraft fetch quest, or anything where you have to like, you're sent out to go find a thing, or like discover a thing and bring it back. Did not seem that exciting. And it didn't seem that exciting because at the end of the day, sailing is just a skill. My 2 big concerns were that the movement was not going to be good, and this wasn't going to feel like a skill. I no longer have either of those concerns. The movement is decent, and it does feel like a skill, but that's not necessarily a good thing. It made me realize that most skills in RuneScape at their core are not fun. Crafting is not fun. Fire making is not fun. Cooking is not fun. Nothing you do is very fun. You could make the argument that Slayer is fun because you get to go boss, but like besides that, what skill is fun? There might be little things in the skill, like you have the Hollowed Sepulchre for agility. You might have a mini game you like, but at its core, sailing did feel like a skill. That's what I thought I wanted. But now that I've played it a little bit, it made me realize I don't want a new skill. I want things that are fun, like the island of Varlamore, the island, the area, the country. I don't know. I want Varlamore. I want the Corrupted Gauntlet. I want like expansions. Tying it to a skill, I think people wanted a skill in their head, but now we just have another skill we have to go grind. And they're just, I don't know. I play RuneScape all day long. Skilling's not where I have the fun. I have the fun when I'm doing raids, when I'm killing the Hunlift. Really, that's it, actually. I have fun in raids, you know? I have fun in the places that are known to have the most fun. I don't log on, I'm like, I'm ready for some crafting today. And since I was looking to have as most fun as possible, that's why I jumped into the Barracuda trials. The Barracuda trials were pitched to us as like the Corrupted Gauntlet, Hollowed Sepulchre equivalent for sailing. I think from what I was exposed to, that's a reach. The alpha seemed a little buggy. It felt like I only had access to one Barracuda trial, even though this picture says that there's 0 out of 4 tasks available. I clicked on it. It automatically gave me 30 sailing and it set me off on the first Barracuda trial. I thought the Barracuda trials would be a lot more structured like the Hollowed Sepulchre, but instead they kind of just like put your boat out in an open sea area where there are storms that can damage you. There are whirlpools that can speed your boat up. You have a timer that's counting down, and you have boxes of supplies and boxes of rum you have to go collect. The rum was on ships from what I could tell, and you'd go up and you'd take the rum from someone's ship, and there was just salvaged loot all around that you're trying to collect, and then you could return it. Like I said, for me, it was a very buggy experience. I spent probably 30 to 40 minutes just trying to complete a Barracuda trial and turn it in. And like, I had a couple gamers around me. I was there with world-renowned skiller Fat Clouds, greatest hardcore Ironman to ever do it, Mutts, and one of the greatest toppers to ever live, Barack Obama. They were all next to me, and I think all of us were having the same issues. I could not figure out how to get it to work, but moving the boat kind of worked. It was just turning in the trial that did not seem to, I don't know, like actually work within the game. I don't know if it was actually explained or if I just missed it, but for the first half of the time I was doing the Barracuda trial, I was doing it incorrectly. There were these like whirlpools in the ocean that I was avoiding because I thought they would do damage, and instead they'd speed your boat up. And I did actually find it very fun. If you hit a couple of those whirlpools in a row, your boat was flying. I mean, like, you were really cruising. And that, now that I think back to it, I did like going that fast and trying to maneuver around rocks and storms, and that was cool. But like I said, I was really getting into it, and there was no real accolade at the end. There was no accomplishment and sense of pride I got by actually trying to do the Barracuda trial because it was buggy and I was unable to turn it in. And that's when I realized I was having fun, but this is going to be fun for 30 minutes. I'm going to learn how to do this Barracuda trial. There's going to be a plugin that makes it efficiently, and then it's just going to be like grinding any other skill. I hate to do this comparison, but the Barracuda trials just felt a little bit like if the agility skill was done correctly. And that's kind of the whole vibe I got from the Sailing Alpha. There's fetch quests, there's obstacle quests, there's go and find this place. I'm saying quest, but I guess task is the correct word because there's only one quest. But you're going to go and collect sunken loot. You're going to go and deliver something to a port. You're going to go and chart out a point of interest. You're going to go and do a Barracuda trial. These are all on sea, but if these were just taken from the ocean and you were taken off of a boat and you were put onto land, it feels a lot like if agility was a fully fleshed out skill that wasn't just about hopping on roofs. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's just a reminder that at the end of the day, sailing is a skill, which is so funny because my second biggest concern was this would be a great expansion. Why do they have to tie it to a skill? Now that I've played it, it makes sense to be a skill. It flows like a skill. I don't want another skill. I think back when we voted on to bring another skill in, it was such a foreign idea and it sounded so exciting. But I think a lot of us are going to end up playing this alpha towards the end of March. We're going to realize, man, what did we get ourselves into? We're going to have to, if you want your max cape, you're going to have to do a whole other skill to 99. I'm hoping that there's aspects to sailing that we have yet to uncover, and this is just the surface. I really hope that there's other things like exploring islands, and these islands are going to have monsters, or these islands are going to have dungeons that are going to give loot. And a lot more of it has to do with getting to a place other than like actually driving your ship. In my head, that's how sailing was always going to be. And this seems a lot more boat focused than I think a lot of people realize. They did have an updated map as part of the alpha, and I can show some of that right now. Oh, okay. Actually, hold on. Let's take a look at this. I did take a picture at how they're gonna situate the skills tab because I don't know. I cared, so I thought someone else might care. And this is how they're looking to do it. Because if you didn't know, this spot where sailing is currently is where you should tell you your total level. So they've now replaced that with the sailing icon and the level, and now your total level is this tiny little bar that goes across the bottom. That makes the most sense. I think that's a lot of people what they thought it was gonna look like, and boom, it's all but confirmed. There you go. That is the future of your skills tab. Anyways, let's take a look. So we do have a couple islands, but like I said, we didn't get to go on those at all. When I stood up from my chair and finished my alpha test of sailing, I was really excited. I was really ecstatic. I was telling everybody else, hey, you got to go try sailing. I had a good time. This is going to be so good for the game. I was so excited. And my excitement dwindled when I was watching the summer summit, or was this the winter summit? Whatever, the summit. And they said that sailing was going to come out this year. The whole time I was doing this alpha, I'm like, oh, dude, man, by the end of 2026, when this drops, it's going to be so much fun. They got a good base here. Oh boy. Now that they're trying to say it could be like 6 to 9 months away, it's terrifying. I'm really worried for it on launch. I think a lot of people are going to dislike it. You're going to have a lot of people that want to go get 99 as fast as possible. It's not going to be ready. It's not going to be flushed out. They're going to have an awful experience and they're going to shit talk sailing for the rest of their lives. And I feel like that's the spot where it's at. If they said that sailing was coming out in 2026, I would be completely on board. If they're trying to push this for 2025, I'm very worried. But I mean, I guess to lessen my worries, right? We do have a couple pictures of the map that I took. The really cool thing about sailing is all of the ocean, all of the water, all of the ocean and waters around Gielinor, you can just explore. I felt like it was going to be like some instance area with the ocean, but no, you're going up and down the coastlines of RuneScape. If you know how to get from one place to another by the oceans, that's literally just how it's going to be. You're going to be clicking on the water to get there. I don't know why I didn't think that that's what it was going to be, but that part was really cool. And now we have an ocean that is filled out with different points of interest, and all of the oceans are now labeled. We have the Unquiet Ocean, the Caridian Ocean. We have this island, which, I mean, I'm 99% sure is not in the game, right? Yeah, that's called the Great Conch. And this is the stuff that I would say I was most excited for, but we didn't get to dabble with any of this stuff yet. And that worries me a little bit. Like, what is this island gonna have? And I feel like these points of interest that are islands is gonna be what makes and breaks this skill. And we have not been able to dabble with this yet. You do get to look on the map though and see that, you know, there's a couple points of interest now that have the little sailing icon. So that's exciting to see a new icon on the map. Oh my goodness. Oh, here's another picture I took of what it was like to find like an NPC out in the ocean. Here is a level 16 famished shark. Here you can see me on my little raft and my little chest that we were using to gather things. And it was just his fin poking out of the water. It was really hard to get a picture of him because he was constantly moving. But that's what I feel like an NPC is going to look like out in the ocean. It's just going to be like, I don't know, a little chunk of his body poking through the surface of the water. And who knows how we fight it. I was trying to figure out how to fight it. It was not working for me. Probably because I didn't have whatever requirements or the tools necessary to kill a famished shark. But that's what an NPC out in the ocean looked like. And here is just another broader picture of the map once again. And you can see that we've got little chunks all throughout. Yeah, these are all new islands because we zoom in and we see the sailing icon. It's hard to remember which ones are new and which ones are old. Like that looks like a new island, but I could be wrong. I have no idea. That's Temperos. Never mind. Oh, sweet. Never mind. Sweet. I did just find, I do have a picture of the UI that was there. So we had these arrows were for the speed to go faster and slower. And then this button was to trim and untrim the sail. So that's like your start stop essentially. I'm excited to see how everyone else interprets this alpha at the end of the month. I do not think this has any chance of not making it into the game. I think enough people are going to try this out, see the base of where the team has gotten sailing to, and they're going to want to see this, receive updates for a couple years. I do think like in 2 to 3 years, this will be a really good skill. I think people will enjoy it. It'll probably be in their top 3, 4, 5. Who knows? It depends on how they integrate those islands. I really hope they knock it out of the park because I feel like most people that voted yes to sailing were mostly looking forward to being able to explore islands and find new monsters and go into new dungeons and get new loot and do stuff like that. And not a lot of people wanted to go, like, it wasn't about the boat. The boat got us to the places we wanted to be in my head back when sailing was pitched. I do not think it's going to be that good on launch. I have very low hopes. But my low hopes is kind of what has made me like sailing a little bit because my expectations were on the ground. And I mean, yeah, they exceeded my expectations because my expectations were so damn low. So I guess I'm a little excited. My 2 major concerns are no longer concerns. I now just have a new one. I now realize that I don't want a new skill, but we're going to get it. We're going to get a new skill. It's inevitable. This is not worst case scenario at all. I'm now cautiously optimistic. I just really hope it ends up becoming fun. The more I think about it, I don't know if that's possible. I was talking to my chat yesterday about like what skills are fun, and The only thing we could land on is that magic and ranged are fun because then you get to go shoot things, you know, from far away, and that makes for fun content. No other skill is really that much fun. I personally never played dungeoneering back in RS3, but when I look at dungeoneering was a fun skill. They essentially took the Corrupted Gauntlet, one of my favorite contents in the whole game, and turned it into a skill. So that would be fun. It'd be like, imagine if they somehow converted raiding into a skill. That would be fun. Sailing is just a skill. It's going to be a very skilly skill. It is a cross between agility with hints of construction, a little bit of crafting, I think, some fetching, some collecting, some very typical MMORPG concepts bundled into something that we're going to have to grind for at least 100 hours, I imagine. Anyways, let me know down below. Are you excited for sailing? Do you regret voting for sailing? Did you vote for sailing? Did you vote for shamanism? Are you going to vote no if they ask if we still want this skill in the game? Are you going to play the alpha right on launch? I'm excited. I will play it. I might make a couple more videos about it. Anyways, thanks for watching.